All right, so we are recording so that other people can take advantage of this. So this was just kind of a brainstorm. I always get in these reflective moods as the year comes to an end. And actually, as I think about how fluffy I feel, lumpy is probably a better term, and just needing to get myself back on track in every aspect of life. So anyway, I was just kind of sitting there today and I was like, I wonder if I can throw something together because I wanted to think through these things anyway and figured that other people would too. So we're just going to kind of threw together some questions just for reflection and thinking with potentially the end result of creating like a little vision board for ourselves, nothing high pressure, or even just, written out goals. It's not, but just to kind of think through things and kind of start just looking at life through a new lens. So Jen's going to talk a little bit about just visioning and vision boards, and then I'm going to share mine from last time, and then we're just going to kind of go through some different questions and have discussion among us. And for those who are watching this on a recording, it'll provide food for thought for you as well in the future. So, cool.
All right. Well,
uh-oh. Jen?
To 2017. Can you hear me?
Yeah, y'all froze, but I think I think me and not you guys.
Okay. All right. You guys can all hear me then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, good. Cool. Okay, so I am going to talk to us a little bit about setting goals and vision boards. I have done this before, not with us necessarily, but actually with like groups of moms and professionals in my like professional coaching world. And so I actually have like a little document on the other side of my screen with notes on it. So I'm actually just going to read kind of some of what I share in like my professional life when I talk about vision boards, because I think it's just easier to just kind of read and you guys can take notes. Hey, Jamie, welcome. You guys can take notes and whatever sticks with you, as I read this, jot it down. We can kind of come back to it, or you can comment on it when we're done. So why vision boards? Basically what we focus on expands. That's the law of attraction. When you create a vision board and kind of place it in a space where you see it often, you essentially end up doing short visualization exercises throughout the day. So when you're seeing it on a somewhat regular basis, you start to kind of visualize, even if it's for like a millisecond, you start to visualize what you want. And what we focus on expands. So visualization is one of the most powerful mind exercises that we can do. The things that we focus on and put our attention to are the things that we end up attracting more of into our life. So again, essentially that's the law of attraction. So whether you believe it or not, right, we know that visualization works. Olympic athletes use this, have been using this for decades to improve performance. And actually, Psychology Today recently reported that the brain, this is so interesting to me, but the brain patterns activated when a weightlifter lifts heavy weights are also very similarly activated when the lifter just imagines or visualizes lifting weights. So there's a really common correlation there.
You know what's interesting? Singing is very similar. Actually, like you approximate, the vocal folds approximate. So anyway, side note, kind of cool.
That's cool. No, that's cool to know. Yeah. So it's probably really one of the most valuable visualization tools that we have available to us. Our brain will actually work tirelessly to achieve the statements that we give our subconscious mind. So it's working for us even when we're not even conscious of it. It's pretty cool. So how to create a vision board? Basically, your vision board we want it to focus on how you want to feel. So not necessarily how you're feeling right now, but more how you want to feel, because we want to attract more of that into our life. Let's see. Also your vision board should focus on how you want to feel, not just on things that you want. So there's a big difference there, right? Not just the material things that you want, but on the things that are going to make you feel a certain feeling, emotion that you want more of. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great to include material stuff too, but the more your board focuses on how you want to feel, the more that will come to life for you. So think about what your goals are in a bunch of areas. We kind of identified a bunch of areas. Emily and I have identified a bunch of areas that we thought would be appropriate to focus on. So I'll give you some, and then if you have others that you want to add to your list, then please do so. So think about what your goals are in these following areas. Your relationships, whether that's an intimate relationship or social, friendship relationship. Your career, so Beachbody wise, but also, if you work another job outside of Beachbody. We have some professional singers and teachers, and I work in the adoption field. So I'm going to think about those kind of goals too. Goals related to your home. What do you want to feel in your home? What kind of space do you want to create? Travel, if that's an area of your life. Personal growth or personal development. Your faith. Some people call this spiritual awareness. I'm gonna call it faith. Most of us, in here are of the Christian faith, and so, but I'm gonna let you interpret that as you need to. Your health. Maybe you want to title that health and wellness, and or maybe you want to title that self-care. That's going to look different for everyone, and that's okay. Okay, so your board can include something from all of these areas that I just mentioned, or you could choose just one area to focus on and create a board for just that one area of your life if that's better for you. Or you could, have a board that, hi Mary, welcome. We're glad you're here. You could have a board that you kind of divided into 6 sections, and had each section kind of a area of your life. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you that there's an absolute right way to do this because everybody's different. I know what works well for me, but I don't know what works well for you. You're the expert on you. So then you can use your vision board to depict goals and dreams in all areas of your life, or again, in just one specific area that you want to focus on. I would tell you to keep it neat. Because the more visual chaos we see, so visual chaos often causes mental chaos. So keep it neat. Be selective about what you place on your vision board. It's a good idea to avoid creating a cluttered or chaotic board because you don't want to attract chaos into your life, right? At least I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So there really is beauty in simplicity and clarity. I want to encourage you to include anything that inspires you. The purpose of a vision board is to bring all of these things to life. Again, what we focus on, what we think about both consciously and subconsciously is what we bring more of into our life. So how to use a vision board. I want you to put it in a visible place, obviously. You want to put it someplace that you're going to see it on a somewhat regular basis. If you can see it every day, great. You know, I have a home office. And for a while I thought it was a great idea to put mine in my home office, but then I'm actually not always in my home office. So I'm not in here every day. So, you know, what I found for me was I do put it in my home office, but then whatever like are my top priorities or goals that I really want to be attracting more of into my life, make that like the what's it called? The wallpaper on my phone. Is that the right word? Wallpaper? I feel old. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my teenage kids. Is that the right word? Because I look at my phone every day, like a million times a day, too much. So then it's always like in the forefront of my mind. So just, you know, 2 or 3 things that maybe are important to me in the moment. So put in a visible place. I want you to think also about write down the date that you completed your vision board, or started, you know, writing down these goals for yourself. Write that date down because it'll be interesting to see what happens over a period of time. If you include affirmations or inspirational words on your vision board or inspirational quotes, make it a habit of reading those out loud, not just in your head, but actually reading them out loud. So, you know, maybe you talk to yourself. That's okay. Be grateful for the good that's already present in your life. I want to, you know, encourage us to be really aware of what is already really good, right? There's always something to be grateful for. Acknowledge any goals that you've already achieved. And acknowledge the presence of God in your life. That's all I have for now. Emily is going to kind of help lead us through more of the specific areas, I think. That's right. And then I'll chime in as appropriate.
Yeah, so the big point of this, again, is just to kind of reflect and to envision what we would love to see in our lives and to pursue that with intention. I think intention is a huge part of this. Yeah. And so I wanted to show you what I made last year. And so Jen led a group of moms a couple years ago, and we all sat with magazines and cut things out, and I never put anything on a board. And then I had the board and I had the things I cut out from magazines, and I didn't have more magazine. Actually, I had your whole stack of magazines. I was just loved the idea, but I was overwhelmed by it. And then I saw other people making them where they just like took colored markers and wrote on a poster board. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So the thing to know here is there's no like one way to do this, and you can do it on the computer, you can do whatever. So I had the things that I had cut out long ago, and then I took my markers and I sat down. So I wanted to just kind of, you can't see this very well, it's bigger than, but some things that I had put on, and I'm going to kind of guide you through just some questions that we're going to talk about. But I think what I did was I kind of I brainstormed and things like that, and I thought about different areas of my life. And obviously for me and for a lot of us, I think coaching is definitely a part of this, but it is not all of it. So I have stuff in relation to coaching, my social life, my faith, my singing, personal development, and it might seem chaotic, but because there's white space, it didn't feel that way. So for instance, one thing that I love food and wine, and I love entertaining. And one of the things that I just had in my mind was like, I want to have wine and food pairing parties. Like I want to do that. That brings me joy. And so that was on here, and it's something that I did. Doing a voice recital was something that was on here. Creating a consistent morning routine with Jesus and with a workout before my kids wake up. Leading and facilitating a ladies' Bible study. So none of this has to do with coaching, but it's an important part of who I am and what I'm passionate about. And so, you know, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. I think it's Galatians, but that's just a verse that kind of felt like a very important part of my whole journey as a person. But then there's things like Beachbody specific. hitting Success Club 5 All-Star Legend. I knew that I needed to get Success Club through July to hit that and have 24 months in a row. I wanted to earn Punta Cana for free. Things like this that I definitely hit. There are other things like rank goals that I didn't hit, and that's okay. I didn't even come close. But I think what it also made me kind of the realization and the importance of the process of just realizing the importance of my team and learning to be a leader and the growth that came about from that. And so I come into this year now with kind of a different way of looking at, though I still have those goals, but I think it's even more focused on just helping other people to thrive, and the idea that we are all, the more that we do this together, the greater our reach, and the farther, the more people can be changed and impacted. So I think it helped me to just kind of process and work through. So anyway, one of the things that I saw on a lot of other coaches' boards that I loved was, you'll see I never actually finished it, but was they listed personal development and like January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So last January, my book was The Compound Effect. February, and I didn't follow through with all this, but I was definitely far more intentional about doing personal development because I put that on there. So that's kind of, family stuff, camping, winery getaway. We just did that last weekend or a couple weekends ago. Anyway, stuff like that. Words that are meaningful to me, hope and grace. So I just wanted to show you that because, for you may find a different way to do it. You may say, that looks chaotic or crazy, but to figure out just putting things down on paper or on something like Jen said that you can envision. So if you have paper and a pen or journal or something nearby, you're just going to brainstorm a few questions that I think will help us to process and to think into this year. But the first question, we'll just kind of take a second. And what I would say is think of this as a brain dump. Don't think you have to come up with the right answer or anything. Just kind of, as things pop into your head, just write it down. And then we'll just take a moment. If you're willing, we'll share a little bit with each other. But the first question, just think as you reflect on this past year, what has been life-giving to you? What has brought you great life this year? Just take a second to kind of process and brainstorm that. And then on the flip side, what has drained you? What has kind of snagged the life out of you? So some of these answers, the life-giving might be easy for some of us, and that might not be an easy answer for others. And either way, that's okay. The same with what, kind of the question of draining. But I do think that can kind of point our minds a little bit to, what is worthwhile pursuing. And sometimes the draining, we don't have a choice. Just parenting young children, I think, can be draining. But lovely at the same time sometimes. But so I'd love to hear what has been life-giving to you this past year.
I can go first.
Yeah, go. Anybody, just go.
I think more time at home, less hours working, and having more. Now that I have a job that I have, I'm only working 37 hours compared to 70 or 60 or 70 like I was before.
Yeah. So time.
Yeah.
Cool. Family.
Time with my family and more time with God.
Yeah, who else?
I'll go. I think that for me, it's really been my kids more than anything. Even we've had ups and downs because that's just the road of parenting, obviously. But just the learning from that and just enjoying the time with them, even though it's chaotic. I always kind of step back and think, in 10 years, it's going to be empty around here. And so I just try to put it in perspective and enjoy all these moments, even though it is crazy. But I think that it's very life-giving, all these memories that you make, for better or for worse. So definitely my kids.
I have one. A few months ago, I reached out to someone and asked her if she would consider being my mentor. And so, and she graciously said yes. And so I meet with a mentor every other week, so usually twice a month. And that's just been a really good, positive, life-giving, safe space experience for me.
I think for a good time there, I was really kind of, I think my life-giving and my draining go hand in hand, but I had a really good routine. Some really solid kind of sense of starting my day with, my prayer and things like that. But I think on the flip side, it was interesting because what has been draining, I was thinking of activities, but actually what I realized is what has drained me is losing my rhythm and my routine, and a lack of rest and sleep that has, and a lot of that is within my own control. But I think finding the physical, health and the spiritual health is life-giving. Losing that rhythm has drained me. Anybody else, or even what have you found draining?
I think one thing for me this year.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think one thing that I have realized this year has been really life-giving and I've really loved is having new experiences with my kids. Particularly, I've done some traveling with them, which I've done quite a bit of traveling with them. And while it is exhausting and draining, I really it's awesome. I just love it. I love experiencing new experiences through the eyes of my children. And that's just been something I definitely would look forward to continuing and making that a priority. And I think, Emily, what you were saying on the flip side about being draining is this past year has been a total lack of rhythm and predictability and any sort of sense of stability as far as our schedule as a family and my husband's job and stuff. And that has been absolutely exhausting. And so Jen, I was just telling the girls before we started that my husband's starting his new job tomorrow. And so I'm really looking forward to it and hoping and praying that we get back into some sort of schedule as a family so that I can kind of move forward and move on and not feel like I'm constantly just trying to hold everything together. So, yeah.
Jamie, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say the draining part for me is teaching anymore. I just feel completely sucked dry and always looking forward to breaks to get out. And it's not the kids, it's the everything else, the administration, the government, like it just all of the policies, like whatever. But it's just draining. And I feel sad about that because there are definitely moments where I remember why I got into it and why I love it. But unfortunately, they're really far and few in between anymore. So I think for me, that's my big drain.
I think it's interesting. I think for most of us, it seems like there's kind of a theme of time with family and time at home and time of rest, or just the time to focus. And so I think that's interesting, you know, as we vision, as we think and we set goals of just what can allow for that. And there are seasons of life that you know, there are a lot that we can't control, like with kids and stuff like that. But I think that is something there. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of throw out some of these categories. Hey, Mary, before I move on, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
Oh, not right now, but I have some self-reflection that it was really valuable, those questions. Okay. Thanks.
So I'm going to just kind of throw out these categories and just have your pen and pencil and just think about as I kind of go to, and this, if you're making a vision board, this doesn't all have to go on there, but just to kind of get you going, brain dump, goal or things you'd love to do or whatever. So in the category of kind of fun, enjoyment, self-care, what would be for this next year, what would you love to make happen, see come to fruition, prioritize? I'll just do a quick, like 30 seconds. And how about family? About coaching. And don't be afraid to put big things on any of this. This is, you know, this is also a place to put big goals. In coaching, that could be, you know, how many people per month you're bringing into a challenge group. That could be include rank, but I think, it, you know, looking at it from the perspective of the people that we can connect with. About personal development. It might be a book that you want to read, or getting a book a month, or listening to a book every 6 weeks, whatever. Relationships. It could be friendships. This could be your marriage. That might be that, if that's something for you, or friendships, or, you know, other family. Got 2 more. Spiritual health, your faith. Mary had that Wake Up with God group that she's doing, which is kind of awesome. I love that. Last will be financial. Paying off debt, making a certain level of income. Those are important goals to set too. Are there any goals or ideas or thoughts that just make you kind of excited that you wrote down? Things that you're like, ooh, I want to pursue that.
I have one.
Go.
And this feels like a big, scary goal. It's a financial one. We paid off both of our vehicles this year. And so I want to put $10,000 away this year for a new vehicle for when we need to buy a new car. Because it'll come. Like I'm hoping we get 5 more years out of both of these. You never know, right? But if I can have 10 grand put away, as a down payment, at least for a new vehicle when we need it, that would be amazing. And if I can put 10 grand away this year and our cars last another 3, 4, 5 years, I think it's really realistic that we could have enough put away to just pay cash for a new vehicle, which would be crazy.
Awesome.
For us. And yeah.
Cool. I want to hear from other people, but real quick so that we don't run out of time, your final question that I want you to kind of take with you is if you, and I've heard people throwing this out on Facebook or I've seen it, if you could pick 1 or 2 words that would kind of represent like your theme for this coming year, what you're intentionally pursuing, your hopes, your dreams, I want you to think about that, kind of let that simmer a little bit. And I'd love for us to hear that on the team page in the next day or two, kind of what your words are for you personally. So before we run out of time, any other big goals that make you excited?
Mine, well, I have a lot, but mine's relationships.
Cool.
Having healthier relationships. And I'm in a different situation because I'm single, but I'm trying not to focus on that anymore, not think about it, not worry about it, just be cool with where God has me. And it's amazing, like when you accept that, you're a lot happier. And I think it's a mind thing for me. So just keeping it simple and just focusing on who is in my life, because they're here because they want to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that, Emily.
Yeah.
I have some just kind of goals for the growth of this team because I'm excited and there are so many people who want to do this and I think just aren't quite sure how to go about that. So I think learning and feeling like I'm kind of growing and how best to help people to do what they want to do if they want to do it. That's kind of my goal. So I want to kind of help this team to become an elite team in Beachbody, and that's exciting to me.